Another bill that you have worked on deals with videotaped testimony of the child as evidence in the trial as being admissible. Could you tell us about that?
Yes, I really do want to tell you all about this bill. This bill would allow the videotaped evidence, or I'm sorry, videotaped interview of a child who's been sexually abused to be admitted into the trial of the sex offender or the alleged sex offender. It would be admitted as evidence. And that is something that we've never done before in Tennessee like this. And so the way it works right now, like here in Gallatin, we have Ashley's Place, our child advocacy center, and we have 42 of those across the state of Tennessee. And when a child has been abused, they're brought to the child advocacy center, and in my bill, we have a definition of what a forensics interviewer is, who will interview the child on the video, and then that way you're sure that you don't have someone leading the witness or, you know, being biased or whatever. And then the child's videotape interview can be admitted in the court. Because what happens is a lot of sex offenders or people that do this to children, they get away with it because a parent of a child this has happened to, they don't want to put their child through the court case. They don't want to put them on the witness stand. They don't want to put them through a trial. And a lot of times it's happened to the child, say when they were 4 or 5, and then the trial doesn't come up for 3 years later, and now the child is older, the child has gone through counseling, the child has perhaps put this bad situation behind them, and a lot of parents will not prosecute because they just don't want to do this to their child. So what this bill will do, it will allow the child's videotape testimony to be entered in evidence. The defense attorney and the prosecutor can still cross-examine the child. If I really had my way, we wouldn't put the child on the stand at all, but there's a little problem with that. The state constitution says you have the right to face your accuser face to face, instead of just the right to face your accuser like the U.S. Constitution, ours says face to face. So we still have to make the child available to be cross-examined, and we do. But hopefully these defense attorneys will not take the opportunity to put a little child on the witness stand, and maybe they'll just hopefully go with the tape. And the jury will see the tape.
All right, very good. Well, let's switch gears radically here. We've been very smooth on our segues so far, but let's talk about the jobless tax for a moment. There has been a lot of discussion about the so-called jobless tax. This would increase employers' unemployment taxes to shore up the state's unemployment trust fund. Is this fair to small businesses, or are there other ways to save this trust fund?
This is a no-win situation. You know, I've owned a small business, and I know how hard it is for people, you know, in small business to keep things going. But what we're facing is, if we do not do something about the fund, because it's going to be insolvent, the federal government comes in and takes it over. And we think that that's worse. So, you know, we don't want that to happen. And then, you know, here we have the federal government coming down here and telling Tennesseans what to do. And, you know, it would probably put some undue burdens, more than we would like, on small businesses. So it's kind of like the lesser of two evils. We've got to do something. So, you know, the worst of the two is to take care of that fund that way, instead of letting the federal government take it over.
All right. All right. Well, let me switch gears then again to higher education. We've been hearing a lot about possible changes to the structure of higher ed in Tennessee, possibly merging the University of Tennessee system with the Tennessee Board of Regents system and the Tennessee Higher Education Commission. Where do you think this is headed?
Well, I don't think this is going to happen overnight, but I do see that the legislature is starting to pay more attention to this. There is some movement on doing something about this. Matter of fact, I'm on a committee that's looking into that, and as I mentioned the last time I was here on the show, Lynn Asante has been helping us with that, and yeah, we're delighted to have his input. And so I'm hoping that as this goes forward, that if we're allowed to put folks on committees to study it or whatever, I'm going to recommend that Lynn be put on there. So we'll have a voice from Vol State working on this. So, but you know, it's moving along, but it's not going to happen very fast, like everything else down there.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.